Hey, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to another video, and this is another paid request for Edward, who's always been very generous. Thank you so much for that. And for those interested in requesting any type of videos, whether it be a topic, tier list, ranking, review, re-review, thought streams, commentaries, video game playthrough for an hour, full playthrough, whatever the case may be, reaction, PayPal's the best way to do it. Do have a Cash App as well. Links are down below in the info box, and I will get to it as soon as I possibly can. For those who sent them, thank you. I really do appreciate it. So Edward, he wanted me to look at 2 more episodes of the 2012 Ninja Turtles cartoon, Season 1, Episodes 7 and 8, which are Monkey Brains and Never Say Xever. Now, I'm not going to go on the whole thing about my thoughts on the show in general. Well, I mean, I guess I could briefly, because you never know, this may be the first time someone's seen one of these videos. I'm a Ninja Turtles fan. 2003 cartoon is my favorite. I grew up with the 80s cartoon and the 3 live-action films. I liked the first 2, the third one not so much. And this show, I had very high doubts when I saw it. Thought the first season or so was pretty decent. Well, you know, it wasn't that bad. But then when it got to it got to when Leo was in the coma and they were at the farmhouse. They changed the voice actor Leonardo from Jason Biggs, who I think actually does a really good job as Leo. I think he's actually one of the better voices for Leo, to Seth Green, who does not work at all. At all. I think Jason Biggs got fired because he was stupid, saying stupid tweets, and he knew better and he kept going. So that's his own fault, but still. And then, like, the stories, and it kind of, that's a whole other thing. But we're talking about Season 1, which wasn't that bad. And, like, these 2 episodes, they were fine for what they needed to be. I think what it is that when the 2003 cartoon came out, and they tried to be a little bit more like the comics, they still couldn't be as rough and tumble, as violent as the comics. But I felt it was a step in the right direction, at least for me personally. I always thought this was kind of a step back from the 2003 cartoon. That's just how I always felt of it, because that show, they would have stories that would take 2 or 3 or 4 parts at times, so it would have a little bit more room to breathe, these stories. And this, there's so many, there are concepts that are interesting that they just don't flourish, because it's still Nickelodeon, it's still a kids cartoon. But then once in a while they try to be serious, and it's like it's a little bit too little too late for that. I think it was like, I forgot, it was Season 4, Season 5, like one of them, Shredder kills Splinter. And I'm sitting there going, now you trying to be super serious? After episodes of, I think Season 3 or so, there's one episode where there's like a killer pizza going after Mikey. Even this, like Episode 7, it's Donatello gets beaten up by a monkey. And the other bros literally laugh at him. Like, how do you get beaten up by a monkey? And that's what I mean. It has this thing where it wants to have its cake and eat it too. So it has this weird imbalance at times. But at least Season 1 was a little bit more consistent on that compared to, I think, some of the later ones. But if I keep going on, I'm going on for 20 minutes without actually talking about this, so. Because I mean, I could talk for a whole hour on the thing. But Monkey Brains, Season 1, Episode 7. The setup, Donatello was thinking too much during fights. He tried to pre-plan them. And that's just how his brain works. He even has a diagram to pre-plan every comment April may make, so he could give a proper response. I mean, it's supposed to be very cute, but at the same time, it kind of comes off as stalker material. I mean, can you imagine if you met anybody and they have a diagram where they tried to think of dozens and dozens of possibilities. Because at the end of the day, once they get in her pants, which, I mean, that's a whole other thing. And also, none of this fucking matters because it was never going to connect anyway. The dots were never going to connect. There was never going to be a turtle banana in the tailpipe. April's or whoever's. Okay, that was never going to happen. There's never going to be a romance between a human and a turtle. That was never going to happen, especially on Nickel and Diamond, Nickelodeon. So they tease this theme throughout this whole show, and then you think it's done, and then I forget. I think it was during I did the farmhouse thing. That's when things change. Is like then Donatello accepted it, and then she kisses him on the cheek and gives him false hope. I'm like, you bitch. You teasing two-faced fucking bitch. And then part of me is like, can't blame Donatello because this girl keeps sending mixed fucking signals. Leave me alone, and then I'm gonna kiss you on the cheek. I'm like, and do all this other shit. And then like also what she says, it's like, God damn you bitch. You what's the best? She's a cock teasing bitch. She's like a damn cock ring. That's what she is. She's a damn cock ring. Won't let the guy come. Goddamn. First he died gap in his tooth. Now he can't. Like April, leave him the fuck alone. But then Donnie also has a little bit of the stalker. But that is like, hey, teenager, first time seeing a girl, never been laid. We've all been there. At least one point in our life, and then you move on. You do the deed, but you can't do the deed because April won't do the deed with them. But yeah, the fact that they kept mixing this in and teasing it and doing all this stuff, which was never going to amount to anything. So it was a whole waste of fucking time. But anyway, I did like the nod to Star Trek 3 because there's a show called Space Heroes where Leonardo is definitely a fan of, big fan of. When Donnie hides his diagram, he flips it over and it's a poster for a Space Heroes movie, Space Heroes 3. And the poster looks just like Star Trek 3, The Search for Spock. I thought that was a nice touch, visually, nice reference. There's news about this Dr. Rockwell and his lab, and he's missing. And one thing leads to another, and they meet this other doctor, played by Jeffrey Combs. Very cool to have Jeffrey Combs in there, from Reanimator. That's very cool that he did a voice. Very capable actor, let alone voice actor. He had just that right voice to make things work. It's April and Donnie. They're coming back home. There's a Munty from the lab, beats up Donnie, and they laugh at him. And that's what happens a lot in this show, too, where the brothers, there are times where if someone gets very, very embarrassed or very, very hurt, there are times, like there are times that they show their care for one another. But there's also times I'm like, really? That's what you're going to laugh about? This one, I mean, it's a little bit more understandable, because if you hear, oh yeah, you got beat up by a monkey, you can kind of understand the laughter. But I remember there was one episode where I think Raph or someone had something inside them and they're ready to cut them open and they're joking about. I'm like, you joke about cutting your brother open? There's a weird sense of humor. But this, I mean, at least it's a little bit more of a sillier idea. And then Leo trying to put one-liners. I bet he went bananas. Again, Jason Biggs I thought was a right fit for Leonardo. I thought he was a right fit for it. I also said there's a great site that I always forget his name. The one who voices Mighty, who is Beast Boy in Teen Titans. I didn't want to say his last name is Sipes. I could be wrong. Anyway, he does a good job as well, showing the innocence of Mighty. He has the right tone of voice. Again, at times they make him seem a bit too dumb, as in like the later years of Homer Simpson type of dumb. Like here, Michael's moving with the music. Donnie's trying to understand how he got beat by a monkey. Splinter's trying to talk to him. Look at Mikey, he does not think, and Mikey goes, "Thank you." And Splinter's moving, and Mikey's dodging and all that. So it shows at least a bit of his natural ability and agility, but then Splinter easily trips him. So it's like a catch-22. Okay, you're saying that he doesn't think he's a dumb fuck, but at the same time he's very agile. So it's I guess you take your leave or whatever. The turtles go out. They catch the monkey. They find out he's actually Rockwell. And Jeffrey Combs has been doing experiments because he wants to be psychic. The turtles fight him. The three of them get defeated because he could tell where they're moving, so he just easily outmaneuvers them. Donatello, let's not think. He goes in. I would say the one move he does. Remember the video game of Ninja Turtles when Raphael had the special move with the side drill? That's kind of what Donnie does, only with his fist, because he's like going in the lines like. But he's kind of going that drill that Raphael would do in the video games. And Donnie wins, but Jeffrey Combs escapes to be around for another day. At least I think he escapes. I can't remember. Yeah, he does. And then Donnie has a line with April. She's going to be trained as Tanucci with Splinter. Donnie gives an answer. She's like, yeah, we'll hang out later. And he's like, my flowchart is awesome. And that's how the episode ends. So definitely more of a Donatello-centered episode. I thought Rob Paulsen, who voiced Raphael in the 80s cartoon, he does a nice job voicing Donatello. It took me a while to get over the fact that I'm hearing Raphael's voice out of Donatello's mouth, because I grew up with the 80s cartoon. I watched that many times when I was a kid. Nowadays, I don't think it holds up as well as it did when I was a kid. I still prefer the 2003 cartoon. And again, I was 7 years old in 1990. That's when the cartoon was definitely in its one of its peak prime aspects, and the first movie came out. So I'm very, very nostalgic for the 80s cartoon. Again, watching nowadays, it's cute, it's nostalgic, it's fun, but I definitely prefer the 2003 cartoon. This, if you're being fair, it does have more storytelling compared with the 80s cartoon. And they do use their weapons, unlike the 80s cartoon, because there was a little bit more censoring going on in the 80s to 90s cartoon era. Even Spider-Man, the 90s cartoon, he wasn't allowed to punch, among other things. So definitely a lot more censorship back then of what a cartoon could and couldn't do. The animation, it took a bit getting used to, but it does have, when they allow the turtles to do some maneuvers, some martial arts moves, they look nice. They look efficiently done. And I definitely would say the designs of the turtles, I can appreciate that they tried to make them look a bit different. So Raphael has the chip in his armor, his plastron. Donnie's taller. Mikey has freckles. That stuff didn't bother me as a design. I wish they had told a story about that. I know I'm being too harsh on it, but at the same time, I'm fine with that because I feel that this could have been even better. I know a lot of people love and adore the show. I just feel there's aspects that could have been even more interesting. They could have done even more so. Raphael has his chip in his shell. If you had told a flashback story of Mighty and Raph, where Raph seems like he's being mean, but he really cares for his brother. Maybe Leo and Donnie wonder, why Mighty always follows Raph around, even though he seems so mean or so rude. And then we see this flashback where Raph, without thinking, having a second thought, pushed Mighty out of the way and took the brunt of the hit that would have severely hurt Mighty, but Raphael got hurt, and this piece of his shell fell, and Mighty was worried, and I think that could have been a nice, sweet, good story. Instead, they had some other thing where, they were babies, and Splinter was helping them out because of time travel, whatever, and he fell, and all of a sudden the chip fell. I'm like, really? That's all it was? And a lot of missed opportunities is what I'm getting at, in my eyes. But as for the episode, it was fine. Like I said, it was a decent showcase for Donatello. The others didn't really have a whole lot to do. The villain, as cool as Jeffrey Combs. I mean, the villain as itself and his motivation is like whatever, but still a nice asset to have Jeffrey Combs in there. Now, Never Say Xever, they meet this blind restaurant owner named Murakami, which he becomes a supporting character throughout the show. And I'm listening to his voice, I'm like, I recognize his voice as Sab Shimono. He was Lord Norinaga, one of the villains in the third Ninja Turtles film. I thought that was kind of cool. That was kind of cool that they brought him into this. I thought that was neat. So Sab Shimono did return to the Ninja Turtles franchise. Again, I think when I first saw this, because I think I saw some of these back in the day when it came out, I didn't realize that was Sab Shimono. But I'm like, okay, that's really cool. He's getting attacked by the Purple Dragons, the Dane that... I'm trying to remember if they were in the original comics, but they were in the 2003 cartoon in the first episode. And they might have been the comics. Can't remember. But I think this is the first in this show that introduces the Purple Dragons, and the Turtles beat them up. Fun sequence. They all have their moves to showcase. Being playful, easily overcoming the bad guys. Raph doing like a flick of the wrist to beat up a bad guy. Mighty doing some really nice kicks. Leo lets the leader go out of pity. Raph pretty much call him a pussy. How could you do that? We need to show that you're wrong about mercy. Mercy's for the weak. He didn't say that. I mean, what are you, Treese from Karate Kid, Raph? Of course, this will be the first of 100 times Raphael is wrong on this show. And that's another thing that bothered me about this show. This is only my subjective look at it. I am such a Raphael fan. I think one of the big reasons this show I kind of turned on in the middle of the second season in the farmhouse, I hate the way they portray Raphael in this. I really do. Sean Astin, I'm not big on his voice. I mean, I liked him in The Goonies. I liked him in Toy Soldiers. I'm just not 100% sold on his voice acting. But also just what they have him do or not do. Whether it be the cockroach episode where I get it, he could be scared of them, but to the point of literally running away like a chicken and abandoning his brothers who are in danger and just abandoning them. I think that's a bit far. Raph at one point being afraid of horses to go horseback riding. At one point Raphael's turned to a fucking plant, a flower. Every solo episode he had was he did something wrong, he's got to fix his own mistake. He did something wrong, he's got to fix his own mistake. He did something wrong, he's got to fix his own mistake. That was like the previous episode with Donatello. It was he got beaten up, but he learned to overcome. And even though his brothers were in danger, he was able to overcome and defeat the bad guy. It wasn't, I made a mistake, gotta fix my own mistake. That was like every Raph episode. This guy took a picture of us and I acted like a dumbass, and now my brothers are in danger, I gotta go fix it. Oh, I had this pet turtle named Spike. He became this bigger turtle named Slash. I kept telling him how my brothers were this and this and that. And so Slash beat up my brothers. Now I gotta go fix my own mistake. And that's slashing. That's another thing that they had such a missed opportunity. Again, so many missed opportunities. That just really annoyed the hell out of me. There were a couple fun moments in this. They introduced the character of Xever, which he'll be mutated into this fish-like mutant. Because this show really, really goes heavy on the mutants. Very much so on the mutants. But his character, I don't mind him as a villain. He's very good with his legs, very good at that style of fighting. More with his legs than his arms. There's a couple funny nods. Mikey talks about how, oh, there's a tattoo place. I'll get a tattoo of my face on my face, and he does this. And you briefly see the 80s Michelangelo. Like those little nods to the 80s cartoon, that's fine. But as it went on, they kept referencing the 80s cartoon so much, so many times, that it was finding it harder to get its own identity. There are stuff that it does for its own identity. Karai being Splinter's daughter. I thought that was a neat idea. That's much later on. I'm on other stuff, but like goddamn, like go a couple episodes without mentioning the 80s cartoon, man. But a little bit like that, okay, that was kind of funny. I don't think that was too bad. They grab one of them, Bradford, because Murakami's been taken, so we should be as mean as them. So they grab this guy and they put him in a trash can, and Mikey apologizes, and Raph's like, don't say sorry. Sorry I didn't drop you harder. And Raph goes, there you go. I thought that was kind of a funny exchange between Raph and Mikey. Like Raph almost being proud of Mikey's independence on that thought. The fight scene, there's some decent fight. I mean, I would say one good aspect is there are some nicely done fight choreography at the end of the episode, where the Purple Dragons and the Foot Clan are coming out, and the Turtles are getting their moves in. And granted, they get overcome, and then they get beaten up, and then lo and behold, Leo, the guy he showed mercy to, the guy gave Leo his sword back. He hits this water tower that falls, and splashes the rest of the bad guys, and they're able to escape. Because then we're going to be introduced to the Shredder, which is hinted at the end of the episode. And Raph even says, your wimpiness might not be totally worthless. Well, Raph, you're wrong yet again, so I wouldn't talk, asshole. This Raphael just... Sally is my least favorite of the four characters. And Raphael's my favorite. As weird as that sounds, like Raphael's my favorite character, but in this, he's my least of the four. Like again, Leonardo, Jason Biggs' version. He's not too much of a prick. He's not too much of a stick in the mud. He's pretty easygoing. He tries to do his best. I think Jason Biggs brings that sense of warmth to the role to counteract with being a leader. And he's unsure of himself, and sometimes he's not sure, and he's got a fun sense of humor at times, or at least trying to. Him being nerdy, like in the Star Trek type space hero show. I think they did a good job with Leonardo. Donatello, the whole thing with him and April, if it led to anything, like there was an actual goal post, you know. But again, that was never going to happen with Nickelodeon. Okay, they're not going to have bestiality. I guess that'd be the conversation. Would it be bestiality if, because, Dontel is a person walking and talking? And that's a whole other conversation that I'm not going to get into. But Nickelodeon, Nickel and Dime is not going to have that. So I didn't like, why even bring it up in the first place? Or have it for a few episodes, then stop. Not keep going for the whole fucking show. Michelangelo, like I said, the voice actor fit very well. He definitely fit the baby brother of the group. And he definitely has some highlights throughout the show. There's even a bit, I can't remember where it is, but there's one point that he gets sucked into Dimension X. Eventually, the other bros are able to go over, and then you find out Mighty was there for like 9 months or something. So he's like this expert Dimension X warrior. He's got these crane, I don't know, like body parts or something. Like, I'm like, okay, the time might be a badass. I wish Raph was ever that way. Because Raph is just a giant pussy. Even when he gets with that girl, what was it, Mona Lisa, and they kiss, he lifts his leg. Because usually the old school was that the girl would lift the leg, but he lifts it because he's a bitch. There's even a dialogue in one episode where Mikey's like, remember that one time we dressed up as a fairy? I shit you not. A princess. A fairy or a princess. He's like, that was only one time. I'm like, just get out of the closet and be honest with yourself. Honestly, if they just said he was gay and he came out of the closet, I would almost applaud. Just because, just be honest. Don't fucking lie to yourself. Well, I guess if this was Disney, then he would have done that. Instead of Nickelodeon. I didn't, well, maybe that'll be one day in the future. They'll just make one of the turtles gay. Why not? Instead of put a girl in and make her gay, put a guy in and make him gay. Maybe that could be Nickelodeon's. If Disney's put a girl and make her gay, here it could be put a guy and make her gay. There you go. Just make the turtles gay. Just make Raph gay. Why not? You have a problem with it? No, I'm telling you, do it. Just do it already. That's what they should have done on the show. Might as well. To be fair, all those things doesn't mean you're gay. It just means Raph's a bitch. Two different things. So I know I'm going all over the place. That's how I do with this. But hopefully Edward enjoys. Because that's the part of it, my brain. There is that part of me that wonders if I'll just never be satisfied with another Ninja Turtles movie, show, property, because I'm too judgmental, too harsh on it. I'm too much of a critic on these characters, because they are my favorite characters. But, I want to see improvements. Some people would say they're not improvements, they're just your own. I'm like, I know. That's why I can only give my own opinion on it. So Monkey Brains was okay. Never Say Xever. Decent fight scene at the end of the episode. Mighty had a couple funny moments. Yeah, nice to see Murakami introduced. Sab Shimono, great to hear and see him be part of the franchise again. That was a nice addition. But yeah, you have a fun little fight scene at the beginning. You have a decent action at the end. Definitely a little bit more of an action-packed episode. It continuing the story. The Shredder's going to be introduced to the Turtles pretty soon. And things are going to get a bit more serious, so there you go. So with that said, I didn't mind it for what it was. These 2 episodes. They were okay. Thanks for watching. Take care, and we'll see you guys later. Bye-bye for now.